Chairman, I would like to know why other countries have gone away from the machines. There are many countries like France and also Russia and also the Middle Eastern countries. They've all gone away from the machines because of the fraud that takes place.
Ms. Hyatt,
Yes.
do you have more confidence in Russian elections than elections in the United States of America?
At this point, I do.
Are you kidding me?
You know what?
Are you
There's
kidding
so
me?
much fraud.
That is Putin propaganda. Good luck if you try to vote in Russia against Vladimir Putin. I'm not belittling anyone, but if you are pushing Russian propaganda on an election when Vladimir Putin wins 100% of the elections, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. That's a ridiculous point. Mr. Chairman, I am addressing someone at public comment during an agenda item. We can ask questions. And if anyone has more confidence in elections in Russia and Middle Eastern countries not named Israel, that is a joke. That is a joke.
You know what? Then our election
Let's
in
see if they have
America is a
hearings like
joke
what
and
we have
Maricopa
hearings
is a
here.
joke.
Go ahead with Russia. Have fun voting in Russia. See how that goes. Let's talk about a boring topic. Elections. The successful elections we oversaw last year were free and fair elections, conducted in accordance with Arizona law, with results that accurately reflected the will of Maricopa County's voters. So for anyone still going on about widespread fraud or stolen elections, stop it. Under procurement, number 86, elections comprehensive review, and I will start off by saying this is yet another issue that is of extreme importance, not only to the county, but especially to this members of the board, all 5 of us. This is something we have been working on since January. From my perspective, we're extremely grateful for the recorder for his enthusiastic response and willingness to participate in cooperation. That's good for everyone involved. Mr. I've been now on the county board for several years, and I've lived through several election cycles, probably the most tumultuous of our times in county history. And I think one thing I have is a reputation as a conservative Republican. No one can call me an election denier. I have always accepted the results of every single election. That's how it works in our constitutional republic. And that's what we're going to keep doing. But in 2022, I believe that Maricopa County fell short in that election when we had the issue with the tabulators and the printers. And for me, that was a searing experience. It was an awful experience because I think collectively, and buck stops here, we let down people. Any questions from the board for these members of staff? No? Okay. We'll entertain a motion, but then allow folks to discuss the motion and/or explain their vote. So is there a motion for item number 86?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve item number 86.
Supervisor Lesko, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Supervisor Gardo, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go to you, Steve, first, and then I'm going to go to Supervisor Stewart for any comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is something that is necessary. I think it's always good to be able to take a step back and be able to have these type of comprehensive reviews right after the 2020 election. And I think our phones and our emails, I was here, were just off the chart, just wanting audits and reviews and so on. And so I appreciate these types of reviews. I look forward to what comes out. Look forward to the report.
People are going to look to us, right? We're their advocate to this county to advocate for their wishes. And I believe that law and policy, while they are very necessary, can sometimes get in the way of real reform, right? And or they can slow it down. In this case, I believe we're missing an opportunity to bring full visibility to the vendor selection process and invite a fresh perspective into something as important as election operations. Barry Dunn is a capable and experienced firm. They've supported Maricopa County in 2018 and again in 2021. But even when past recommendations have been solid, I believe it's reasonable and frankly wise to hesitate before asking any vendor to audit the impact of their own work. Independence matters, especially when public trust is on the line. So, there are other nationally respected firms. If we understand today, which is great information that you gave me today, we really didn't have a lot of people that applied to take this on. But they have deep and specific experience in election law, security, and operations. So firms like Verified Voting and others, these organizations have been involved in best-in-class reforming across the country and other counties, and I believe reaching out to them would bring a tremendous value to this process. Their perspective could help us ensure that our audit is not only sound, but also rooted in both election law, Arizona election law, and national standards. So this audit should not be about internal process. It should be about leadership. And since we have the opportunity to produce recommendations that do more than help us function better, build confidence, and serve all Arizonans, but we need to make sure that it's a goal we're striving for, right? And so today, with full respect and for the work that has gone into this proposal, I'll be voting no, but it's not to delay the process, right? It's to elevate it. We can do more, I think. And the big picture here is we have some blind spots, right? Every company does. And using an audit to evaluate those hopefully will provide more trust and transparency to the public. At this point, using a firm that directly or indirectly would be auditing their own audit, for me, I have trouble with this. So I'll be voting no on this, Chairman. Thank you.
I will tell you this, boards and commissions cannot agree on what time of day it is or what color the sky is, mostly. They can't get there.
Stuart's point, I'm sure that there were a lot of vendors who didn't want to be involved, because who would want to get involved in an election process where election fraud has been allowed to happen and continue while being denied that it's happening?
A board is not capable in this highly transparent environment or ever of moving in concert with the intent of deception and deceit.
Why this comprehensive election review will fail. I think it was the 2018 audit that Barry Dunn provided. It was useless, with only recommendations being that staff should have a checklist to solve the issues. They didn't include what should be on the checklist. Staff had to conduct their own internal study afterwards to identify the root causes to resolve them. I have no expectation this is going to be any different. Chairman Galvin, you said that you were going to make sure that we had a good vendor this time and not do another Cyber Ninjas. Well, we have a worse vendor, because the setup for this review doesn't actually include reviewing any documents or anything comprehensive. And so it really just, or any of the voter complaints, the chain of custody documents. So it dodges the root causes that have plagued the county previously.
With the intent of deception and deceit of the public on its face, that is simply ludicrous.
By the way, you said that in the contract it doesn't say anything about machines. That's not true. And the hyperlink, item number 24, or page number 24, it does include using of voting machines.
Yet this is what the public is being asked to believe via social media, informed opinions.
Oh, by the way, I got to tell you, Thomas Galvin and Debbie Lesko, what a shame to see you guys going after Justin Heap on social media. Isn't that beneath you to bring a fight out and attack him on social media? You should be better than that.
Via social media, informed opinions, as opposed to a single elected official speaking for themselves and for their office. By the way, what a board can do is meet in a properly noticed meeting, in executive session for legal advice, in a public forum for discussion, debate, and vote. Ideally, each member votes in the best interests of the county and his district based on the research and the due diligence that they have done, and doesn't waffle or cave to loud, obstreperous, ill-informed or uninformed public opinion, but rather takes into account real facts, real information, that is made available as part of a process like this.
At this point, using a firm that directly or indirectly would be auditing their own audit, for me, I have trouble with this. So
As I always say, 2016, 2018, 2020, and yes, 2024, I can speak to this personally. I didn't like all the outcomes, but I believed in them because the elections process, including the recorder function, in Maricopa County has been under a bright nationwide spotlight since 2020. It really should have backed up, in my mind, to 2018, but it really started in 2020. And that's a good thing, depending on what we 5 elected officials with 5 different opinions and 5 different approaches and very different experiences that we bring to bear in our work on this board, depending on what we decide. And for me to then go forward in complete and total support of this, I will not cave, I will not waffle to ill-informed or uninformed public opinion. I value public opinion. It is important to me.
You did release the proposal of the company that you're choosing, and it shows that it doesn't qualify. So I don't know who your selection committee was, but they don't know the laws of Arizona, they don't know the processes in Maricopa County, and they don't have basic understanding of supply chain practices such as chain of custody. And the reason why I know that is because I read Barry Dunn's proposal. They include in their proposal they're going to review DREs. We don't have DREs in Maricopa County.
But I also know that as an elected official, I'm elected to represent the interests of my voters and the voters of Maricopa County. That is what I have come here to do. That is what I am going to do in my yes vote on this item.
Really good people that I have known for many, many years that were concerned about the election procedures. They were concerned that the election may have been stolen. They were concerned about what was happening in Maricopa County and throughout the nation. I was given lots of videos, lots of people contacting me, texting me, and, you know, I started, you know, trying to dig into all of these different things, but I found that I just couldn't do it as one person, know what is true and what is not true. I found on some of these things that somebody sent me a video, and I asked, you know, one of the elections people, okay, what is this about? You know, and I would do this over and over again. What is this about? What is this about? Is this true? Is this not true? And one of the videos I found, it was explainable. It was very explainable. So once it was explained to me, I understood. So I really want to get to the bottom of this. And I want to have an comprehensive election procedure audit of Maricopa County to see what we are doing right and if there's anything that we are doing wrong.
Congressman Lesko, if you were serious about election integrity while in Congress after having been in charge of voter registration, you would have gotten HAVA and the NVRA amended so it doesn't keep prohibiting integrity and citizen-only voting. So I disagree with your assertions on that, although I did support you and I campaigned for you. So that's why I'm so disappointed in what's been happening since you've been elected.
And it needs to be done by a reputable, independent firm.
Regarding the Barry Dunn thing, we know that they've entered into a class action settlement for that data breach of over 1.1 million individuals. And personally, I'm sick to death of data breaches. You guys are all accepting it like it's perfectly normal. I don't. Our data is our priceless, precious information.
But I am thankful to the staff for explaining to us the procurement process. I am thankful to the staff for helping me to come to this point. And I am thankful to the majority of the board for agreeing with me on this issue.
You can call me an election denier. And so when I announced in my chairman's speech in January that I believe that we should do this, I know that reporters said to me, hey, what are you going to do? You're going to audit election results? I thought you're not an election denier. What's wrong? You've always defended elections. And for me as a county supervisor, what I've always told people is that I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And so today's vote is about leadership. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to vote for this, and this is going to be the proudest vote that I have taken since I've joined the county board. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
No. By a vote of 4-1, this motion is approved. Thank you.
Is unconscionable. So to hire people that are going to audit themselves, shame on you.
Life isn't fair. It's not fair.